But don't try and trick me now, because I'm not going to play this game. Delete that bit. John, can you just
hang on,
delete it, please?
Stripped of her crown, erased from the royal story. Once celebrated as the Duchess of York, now branded a disgrace. Sarah Ferguson isn't bowing anymore. She's been silenced, humiliated, and pushed to the edge. But when you've lost everything, you stop playing nice. This isn't about Charles, it's not about the palace. She's going after someone far more dangerous. Someone who built an empire on secrets. Her name, Meghan. Yes, that Meghan Markle. So buckle up, because what's about to surface will shake the royal world to its core.
And is there a risk that Andrew, if pushed too far, could do a Harry, move abroad, write a book, and destroy the royal family?
Yes, I mean, that's always been the concern. I think it's more likely to come from Sarah than from Andrew, and I think it's more likely to be done through a cutout, a sort of Omid scoop.
October 2025, and Sarah Ferguson's world is collapsing fast. The palace has spoken, and King Charles isn't mincing words. Her time at the Royal Lodge is over. The estate she once called home is slipping through her fingers, the status she clung to erased, and the wealth that cushioned her life suddenly gone. The lucrative deals have dried up, the spotlight faded, and the guest lists no longer have her name on them. And the whispers all lead back to one name that won't disappear: Jeffrey Epstein. Those emails, those associations, those years of denial, they've finally come crashing down. The couple has been isolated, pushed out, and left with nowhere to turn. But here's where things take a twist. Fergie isn't plotting revenge against Charles, and she's not coming for William or Kate. Her focus is sharper, aimed at someone who once pretended to be a friend. Someone who vanished when she needed help most: Meghan Markle. And if what insiders are saying is true, Fergie knows secrets, the kind that could completely dismantle the glossy image the Sussexes have built around themselves. We're talking about how Meghan really entered those royal circles, the blurred years before fame, the whispered yacht party connections, who introduced who, and why the official love story timeline never quite made sense.
Zero doubt in my mind. Rachel Meghan Markle was a semi-expensive yacht girl, and she knows it.
Many of you have seen this picture already. You see that there's Meghan with her Cajuna hat.
To trace it back, you have to start in March 2017, a wedding in Jamaica. It was small, private, and packed with insiders. Harry flew commercial, modest as ever. But Meghan, she touched down in a private jet, not Harry's, but one belonging to a friend with serious connections. That private jet Meghan flew in on, it belonged to a friend linked to Marcus Anderson, the powerful insider behind Soho House, the social network that seemed to open every door for her back then. Anderson wasn't just any friend. He was the gatekeeper to London's elite, the man who quietly arranged introductions that shaped Meghan's rise. But that Jamaica wedding wasn't just a romantic getaway, it was a gathering of royal power players. Word spread that Prince Andrew attended alongside Princess Eugenie and Sarah Ferguson herself. Picture it, a small chapel, no grand cathedral to hide in, just a tight exclusive ceremony where everyone saw everyone. That's where whispers say the connections began to overlap long before Harry ever proposed. And Jamaica was just the beginning. The talk didn't stop there, the yacht stories began surfacing too. Long before Suits made her a household name, Meghan was rumored to have attended lavish yacht gatherings across the Mediterranean. These weren't just weekend parties, they were elite events where billionaires invited rising stars and socialites aboard for networking.
According to people, she got started her yachting days and she never stopped really. I don't think any of her boyfriends knew about it, but Meghan Markle was known as a hardcore yacht partying person, ready for anything.
Now, none of this proves anything dark. Being photographed near powerful people doesn't make it scandalous. But here's what keeps the rumor mill spinning. Meghan's old circle included people known to frequent that exclusive scene. Marcus Anderson, the same connector behind Soho House, billionaire Ron Burkle, famous for his private yachts, and yes, Prince Andrew, who faced accusations of moving in similar circles. If these overlapping names sound familiar, it's because they connect back to Sarah Ferguson herself. Through Andrew and her own social orbit, Fergie might have been closer to that world than anyone realized. If she really did witness those years firsthand, she wouldn't just know the rumors, she could verify them. And that kind of knowledge, it could flip the entire royal narrative upside down. Fast forward to Meghan's 2021 Oprah interview. Buried between the headlines, she casually mentioned being friends with Princess Eugenie before she even met Harry. Not a passing acquaintance, but a genuine friendship. It's the one detail that makes everyone wonder, how deep did her royal ties really go before that so-called blind date? These weren't casual hellos or passing encounters, this was a real bond. Meghan and Princess Eugenie weren't just acquaintances, they were genuinely close long before Harry entered the picture. Which raises a huge question: how does an American TV actress become friends with a British princess before ever meeting her royal husband? The official story says Meghan and Harry met on a blind date in July 2016, supposedly set up by a mutual friend, but the details have always been murky. Even if we take that version at face value, it doesn't explain how Meghan already shared such an easy friendship with Eugenie. The visits, the comfort, the way she slid so naturally into Harry's inner circle. That's where Sarah Ferguson's name starts echoing through the halls. Fergie knows the timeline. She knows who was at what party, who introduced who, and who tried to hide those early encounters. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. Years ago, Fergie publicly claimed she hadn't met Meghan until the royal wedding in 2018, insisting they'd never crossed paths before that day. That version kept everything neat and tidy, but now the story's shifting. With her finances collapsing and her royal protection gone, insiders claim Fergie's considering a tell-all. And not just any memoir, one that could rattle Buckingham Palace itself. Royal commentators say King Charles is deeply concerned she could pull a Harry of her own, airing decades of buried secrets. But Fergie isn't reckless. She knows that attacking Charles or William would burn every bridge she has left. Meghan, though, she's a different target. Exposing her wouldn't destroy Fergie's last royal ties. In fact, some say a few palace insiders might quietly support it. Think about it. After years of the royal family being battered by Harry and Meghan's accusations through interviews, documentaries, and books, someone who could challenge that narrative would be a powerful weapon. If Fergie can prove that Meghan's fairy tale beginning wasn't exactly the innocent blind date story the world was sold, that's leverage, that's money, that's a way back into the royal fold. Insiders claim Fergie even reached out to Meghan several times for help, but Meghan didn't respond. She cut her off completely, and while on the surface that might have been a smart move, distancing herself from someone tied to Epstein and royal scandal, that silence might come back to haunt her. On the surface, Meghan's silence made sense. Keep her distance, stay clean, avoid the chaos surrounding Sarah Ferguson. But that's where she may have made her biggest mistake. See, Meghan and Fergie aren't that different. Both walked into the royal family as outsiders. Both faced the tabloids' sharpest knives, both were branded as climbers who married above their station, and both eventually walked away under a cloud of controversy. They know what it feels like to be praised one day and exiled the next, but here's the difference. Fergie's been surviving this royal chess game for 4 decades. She understands that in palace life, loyalty is transactional. Secrets aren't protection, they're currency. And Meghan, by ghosting her, may have turned a woman with nothing left to lose into one holding all the leverage. So what exactly does Fergie have tucked away? Let's break it down. First, the Soho House connection. Marcus Anderson, the well-connected power player who managed the exclusive club, wasn't just close to Meghan, he was part of the York family's social world too. He arranged introductions, opened doors, and blended circles that joined Hollywood aristocracy and royalty. Fergie, always nearby, saw those overlaps up close. Second, the Jamaica wedding. Fergie was there. She watched Meghan glide through that crowd like she'd been born to it, charming everyone, acting like a royal long before she officially was one. Tom Bower even wrote that Meghan already carried herself like a queen in waiting. Third, the Mediterranean events. The yacht gatherings where the rich and famous mixed under the sun. If Fergie attended or even heard first-hand accounts, she'd know whether Meghan's presence there was coincidence or calculation. Those stories suggest Meghan didn't stumble into royal life, she mapped her way in. And fourth, the Eugenie link. This might be the biggest clue. If Meghan and Princess Eugenie were already close before Harry came along, and if Fergie witnessed or even helped that friendship develop, then the so-called blind date story starts to fall apart. It suggests Meghan's introduction to Harry wasn't fate, it was strategy. Now, none of that means Meghan did anything wrong. Networking is normal. Ambition isn't a crime. But it does chip away at the authenticity her brand was built on. The fairy tale love story. The outsider who broke the system image. If Fergie can prove the story was carefully crafted, she doesn't just expose Meghan's past, she weakens her entire empire. And here's the twist. Meghan can't clap back without revealing even more. That's the dangerous brilliance of Fergie's position. Silence only makes her more powerful. If Sarah Ferguson ever publishes a memoir claiming she knew Meghan before Harry entered the picture and Meghan denies it, everything unravels. Suddenly people start asking uncomfortable questions. How did Eugenie become her friend? What really happened at that Jamaica wedding? What were those Soho House connections about? Meghan would be cornered, forced to either admit to relationships she's quietly downplayed or accuse royal insiders of lying, both of which invite more scrutiny. It's a tactical nightmare, and Fergie knows it. Ferguson now stands in the most dangerous position imaginable, with absolutely nothing left to lose. The Royal Lodge, gone. The prestige that came with her title, erased. Her income, cut off. Her name still tied to one of the most infamous scandals of the century. She's isolated, frustrated, and unpredictable. And history shows that when people like that hold secrets, they rarely stay silent. Insiders say Fergie might already be in talks, not just with publishers, but quietly with palace aides. Rumor has it King Charles might be willing to offer concessions to keep sensitive stories buried. But Prince William? He's reportedly unmoved, confident that whatever Fergie knows can't hurt him. He's clean, untouchable, which means he's said to be pushing back against any deal. And that's where Meghan suddenly becomes the perfect diversion. If Fergie's tell-all centers on Meghan, everyone wins, except Meghan. Ferguson gets a profitable scandal without total exile. The palace gets a weapon to counter the Sussex narrative without dirtying their hands. Publishers get a headline-grabbing bestseller. The only question left is, will she do it? Will Fergie finally break her silence or keep playing this dangerous game behind the scenes? As for Meghan, she's gone completely quiet. No comments, no denials, no olive branches. Her entire approach seems to hinge on ignoring Fergie until the storm blows over, betting that Ferguson won't risk severing her last royal connections. But that's a gamble based on the idea Fergie still has something left to protect. And right now, it's hard to see that she does. The irony here is poetic. Meghan built her image as the wronged outsider, silenced by the institution. Fergie lived that same exile decades earlier. Meghan spoke about isolation, rejection, and the cost of fame. Fergie endured every one of those blows long before Meghan's name was in the tabloids. Meghan used her pain to create a global brand, and now Fergie might do exactly the same. Fergie and Meghan were always more alike than either of them would admit. Both mastered the art of media manipulation, knowing exactly when to play the victim and when to seize control of the story. Both learned how to survive under royal scrutiny by turning perception into power. But there's one crucial difference. Fergie's been perfecting that skill for 40 years, and Meghan may have underestimated just how sharp those instincts still are. So where does that leave us now? Nothing has been confirmed. No book deal, no official palace statement, no signed agreement. But the whispers are impossible to ignore. Everywhere you look, one name keeps echoing: Sarah Ferguson. A woman stripped of her wealth, her titles, her relevance, sitting inside a mansion she's about to lose, watching a younger version of herself bask in fame and sympathy. That doesn't inspire silence, that breeds revenge. If the rumors hold any truth, and Fergie really does know how Meghan maneuvered her way into royal circles, if she has evidence that shatters the carefully crafted love story, then this won't just be a PR problem, it'll be a reckoning. In the royal world, there are no lasting allies, no eternal enemies, only shifting interests. For years, silence served Fergie well, but that equation has changed. And in the monarchy's inner circles, when loyalty stops paying off, secrets turn into weapons. Maybe Meghan should have answered those calls. Maybe she should have extended an olive branch before the silence hardened into resentment. Because now, with no palace protection, no title to defend, and nothing left to lose, Sarah Ferguson stands as the one person who can do real damage. The kind of damage that doesn't just bruise reputations, it detonates them. What does Fergie truly know? Will she ever spill it? Will the palace bury the truth, or quietly let her speak if it serves their cause? No one outside that gilded circle knows for sure, but history is clear. When insiders feel cornered, betrayed, and erased, they talk. And when they talk, they bring down empires. Meghan's past isn't just whispering at the door anymore. It's pounding, ready to burst open. All because she ignored the one woman who's been playing this game longer than anyone else alive. So what do you think Meghan should do next? Should she finally step out and face the storm, or keep playing the waiting game, hoping the silence will save her? Because let's be honest, silence might have worked once. But this time, the echoes are getting louder. Every headline, every rumor, every whispered exclusive seems to lead back to one question. What does Fergie really know? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is where things get unpredictable. There's a sense that something's shifting behind palace walls. New deals being whispered about, old secrets being traded like currency. Insiders say what's coming next could shake the royal image harder than anything we've seen before. If you followed this far, you already know. This story isn't just about two women. It's about power, image, and revenge. And every move Meghan makes now could decide whether she stays on top or becomes the next royal cautionary tale. So don't just scroll away, hit that like button if you're as deep into this mystery as we are, and share this video to keep the conversation alive. Subscribe and turn on notifications because the next chapter, it might not just expose secrets, it might rewrite royal history itself. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.